Right, this is Dave Johnson, and I'm channeling the man in the moon. Today, I want to take a look at the shift away from totalitarianism that we're seeing in places like Ukraine. I feel like this is a shift that's really affecting the whole planet, not just Ukraine. And I also notice there's a huge political shift going on in the United States right now. So let's just take a look at Ukraine first. Yeah, really shining light in Ukraine. It's a contradiction. There's the shining light and also a bomb going off. But the shining light really is the Ukrainian presidency. That man has just blown the world away with his real personal power. I see a man standing in the light. I think this guy has really divine qualities. He's able to turn towards the light and fight for them. I should say fight for the light. He's willing to put his life on the line for something that he believes in, which is just so unusual now in politics. So what's he gonna do? I see a fight in a bunker. I see that it is ongoing. I can see the president of Ukraine, Zelensky, he is getting help from others. He's quite good at soliciting help from other countries. And really, it's quite surprising. Sweden, Finland, all of these countries that are relatively neutral do not want Russia on their borders, and they have a lot of sympathy for this man and the people of Ukraine. So one beautiful thing is that it's not self-interest that is motivating these people. The average Swedish person is not motivated for political reasons. They care about Ukraine. They care about those individual people. They have sympathy. So it's very important to notice this. It's not about the bombs. It's about love. This is a shift. It's a shift in our perceptions. It's a shift in our culture. You might say it is another shift of the divine feminine. And let's notice that the divine feminine is being supported by a masculine, if you want to call it that, sort of protection and defense. It's when the masculine, keep in mind, we all have masculine and feminine in us. When that masculine shows up, it is showing up to support the heart. There's a big black chunk of, sort of Western Ukraine that's empty. It just shows up as darkness. But it's moving. It sort of moves. It moves towards the east. I believe this is Zelensky's forces. I see Putin getting really enraged. He's having a lot of trouble at home. Again, and notice, it's not the bombs, it's the sympathy that is undermining his regime. The fact that Ukrainians care. People care about Ukrainians. Even in Russia, they care. They don't want this war. Knives are out. I'm seeing Putin sitting, there's an image of him sitting at this big long table with his advisors at the far end so nobody can stab him. Well, the knives are coming out. These people in Russia are not at all sympathetic to the idea of having this greater Russia that controls other populations. They don't see that as anything important. The oligarchs who have the power couldn't really care less. They don't care about that. What they care about is, getting fat in their dashas. They're thinking of a way to get rid of him. And, they also don't have particularly good memories of the Stalinist era. When they're now in power, that's fine. But they're thinking back to a time when they didn't have power, when they were just subject to the regime's whims. They're speaking in secret, the oligarchs. They're figuring out a way to get rid of them, and it's not going to be peaceful. People in the army itself are talking. They're starting to turn. And there's one guy in the army in particular who's looking really sneaky. This is a Russian army guy. And he's looking like he would like to be the president, right? So the problem with Putin is that now you have so many competing powers for complete control. There's every reason why he shouldn't trust them, because they would kill him if they could. I do see him getting shot. I see Putin getting shot. He's actually speaking in front of a crowd of people and is assassinated. I don't know if this is literal or figurative. Yeah, I don't feel like Putin's going to survive. I feel like they're going to take him out. It's the simplest solution to a really big problem that they now have. If they Putin won't withdraw, they can't keep up the war. The longer they keep up the war, the more sympathy Ukraine has, and the more people don't like Putin. And this will be a great victory for Biden. Biden will not have gone to war. Instead, he will be using his social, economic, political power to starve out Putin. There are a lot of very nervous. I'm switching to US here. There are a lot of American politicians who are getting pretty scared right now because they have taken money from Russian oligarchs. They're terrified of being exposed. And they will be exposed. That the key that the Democrats group, the left, has is all they have to do is just show the paperwork, demand that they return the money, and give it to Ukraine. And the Democrats this time, the left has emotions on their side. Always remember that Trump really never made any sense. It was just an emotional trigger for people who are felt left out by the society. It's not the same feeling. It's more a feeling of sympathy, but Americans have these feelings. They feel strongly about Russia invading that country. So they won't now the ball is sort of in their court. They can use this to their advantage, and they can show Americans that Trump was a dictator just the way Putin was a dictator. I should say Putin is a dictator. So what's going to happen? What about America and their political shift? I see black woman. She looks like a Democrat. I don't think it's clear which one. Right now, I don't know which lady it is, but it's clear she like is almost like a representative of the Democratic Party, and not just the wimpy aspect of the Democratic Party, the gung ho, you know, go women kind of version of the Democratic Party. And she's got her hands on her hips. She's not messing around, right? Stacey Abrams, yeah, she's there too. She's like, Stacey Abrams is actually a little bit nicer, a little bit softer, it's a little bit friendlier. This other lady is just like, Rosa Parks, you're not getting me off this bus, sort of lady. It's quite admirable to see that they seem to be emerging as very powerful people, smart, very strong, very determined. And people are starting to think of that as like, hey, this was just a random weird experience, the Trump years. This was the time when suddenly we went crazy. Now we've learned what we need to know and we're coming back. And people understand the urgency of the situation. Trump was going to withdraw from NATO. He was going to withdraw the nation from NATO. So everybody's realizing that this is really serious business, including Republicans who don't really know how to make up the lost time. I see Dems coming in pretty dang strong right now. So I'm just want to get an idea of the next election. Okay, keep in mind, you guys, this is very, very, it's a long way away. A lot can happen in the next year. So, but let's just read anyway. Okay, now I always have this problem. There's like a dial, right? And the dial is moving one direction. Now the dial's not at 12 o'clock. It's kind of going this way, but it's like, is that blue? Is that red? I'm not as good at colors as I am at images. So the dial seems to be going this way. So Spirit, is that blue winning? Yeah, I'm getting that's blue winning. I think it will be a surprise how well the Dems do. Nobody's going to think so much of inflation because we just got other priorities. And it's clear that that's not Joe Biden. It's the world is suffering from inflation. And so is and we're now suffering inflation because of Russia. Other things are very good. The unemployment rate, the economy is actually doing fairly well. It's just having inflation. And I think it's going to do better. I keep getting Joe Biden with a thumbs up. And everybody going, wow, Joe Biden isn't so dumb after all. He managed the situation really well, more quietly and subtly than Trump. And a lot of people are starting to think that that is, shows some wisdom. I do feel this dial, it feels like it's blue. It feels like there's a major shift, like 10 points for the Dems. I'm going to say, is that the Senate? They're showing me the building. I'm like, yeah, there's Congress people and House of Representatives. Is it the Congress, the Senate? So is this the Senate that I'm seeing? I'm going to say like this looks like 7 or 8. It looks like that's how many more Dems there are than Republicans. It looks like they have taken a super majority. I'm not sure if 58 is a super majority, but it's close enough to get around Joe Manchin. So this is really significant. It's very important that we notice that this shift is going in a positive direction. It might seem negative because there's a battle before us, but the things that people care about are no longer silly, petty issues like Benghazi, which was just a non-story. They're interested in real stories, and nobody's arguing about the truth of whether Putin invaded or not. So reality has sort of struck, and this reality is one that people are not arguing. It's rather incredible that we could argue the reality of a disease, but we're not going to argue the reality of Putin invading. I think it's because it's in a foreign land, at least foreign from the US. So something changed there, but it's important to notice this shift. And it's important to notice the shift is towards the heart. The best thing that Ukrainian people can do is continue to show up, continue to send images, send videos of themselves, whatever they're doing, to go to those places and show the war, show that people are suffering, and interview people when they come across the border. What's it like? People have decided that sympathy is worth having, that after all the things that we've been through, that there are other people on the planet who are suffering more. And this is a big and important shift away from just self-involvement to thinking about others, and to have admiration for someone like the president of Ukraine, who is really an honorable and heroic person. No one else stood up to Donald Trump. Even members of Trump's own party did not stand up to Trump, except for maybe one or two exceptions. I'm thinking of McCain and Liz Cheney and Ratzinger. And in the latter two cases, it took them a long time. So how heroic is this President Zelensky that refused to be corrupt? Everybody admires him and has sympathy for him, and the people of Ukraine. All that is needed is for the people of Ukraine to let the world know who they are, what they are experiencing. And for the rest of us, notice that this is opening up. Love is changing the world right now, even though you might not see it. It might not be that apparent on the inside. The vibration of the earth is really shifting and increasing. Thanks so much for watching.